Hello there and welcome to another edition of Engineering and You. It's a program where we bring to you proven engineers and that they have done well for themselves in their various fields, and they are always come to this program to encourage secondary school pupils, primary school students, young adults to go into the field of engineering, because that is where development lies. The program is sponsored by Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, FNSC. Is the reason why we come to your real pleasure every Friday. My name is Tunde Olaniro, and this program is a very interactive one. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue, as it were, where we just get to converse. And the conversation starts with a question, the question for the day and the question for the week. Before I announce the question for the day, I would like to say that the question for the week of last week, Badru Yetunde Louis on Facebook got our question correctly. And so, Badru, you will request for your contacts on Facebook so as to avoid any discrepancy. So you get your prize courtesy of our sponsor, Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon. And if you are like Badru, you too can go ahead. That's Badru on your screen. She got the question for the week last week correctly. And if you're like Badru, you can also continue with us on the social media platform. The question for the day says, which among the lists is best suited for spanning large distances? Which among the lists is best suited for spanning large distances? If you know the answer, just give us the option A, B, C, or D. And then you get a prize courtesy of our sponsor, Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, FNSC. And if you can't get us via phone, you can also contact us on any of our social media platforms. But one thing I will assure you is that if you get it correctly, you get a prize from our sponsor. We'll take this very short break, and when we return, I'll let you know who my guest is and the topic you'll be discussing with us on this show. Stay with us. Glad to know that you are still there. The program is still Engineering and You, sponsored by Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, FNSC. My guest for today is Engineer Benga Oshungboye. He is the treasurer of the Nigeria Set of Engineers, Abeokuta branch. And he's going to be discussing a very interesting topic, I must say, an engineer in the society. What is it about? Who is an engineer in the society? What role does an engineer play in the society? Among other questions, Engineer Oshungboye will be answering for us on this program. You're welcome to Engineering and You, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Presenter.
All right, you have the floor now.
Good evening, viewers at home. Yes, this evening we'll be briefly talking about engineers in our society. But to start with, there's no way we're going to talk about the engineers without even first talk about the engineering that produces that engineer itself. Of course, I will start with on a lighter note that engineering happened to be oldest and the first profession on earth. You know that God created heaven and earth, created human being, created this, that, build this and that. All these are engineering. When you build, when you design, when you process, when you maintain existing structures and systems, it's all engineering. So we used to say that engineering is the first profession on earth. As that may be, now engineering. So now engineering is the science. It's application of the science and the mathematics principle to optimum correction of natural resources to the uses of humankind. The key word there is that science and mathematics principle. That's natural resources. You know, we do say that everything that God created is for the benefit of the humankind. And you see, when that's when with that knowledge of the science and that mathematics, you now look, the engineering now provide an avenue in such a way to use the abundant human resources that we have to make life easier for not the inhabitant, but even the habitat itself. Because when you look at it, for instance, we are able to hear whatever we are saying here. We were passing messages across outside there. It was as a result of the engineering. You fly from one continent to another, one country to another, even within. You travel to automobile. All these are engineering. And just like I said the other time, that when you're talking about the design, you test, you build the build of machines, structural and processes by using mathematics and science. All these are engineering. And engineering, it has been a discipline that dedicated to identify problem, and also you solve this problem in such a way that you will be benefiting the habitat and inhabitant. In fact, it doesn't even, not humankind alone, you talk about the animals also and everything. Engineering has been the one that have been providing all these, providing infrastructures to make life easier for people to live. You can imagine if there is no engineering, how do you even, how would the life that be easy for people to live in? So, in engineering as well, we have cadres in engineering practice. Actually, we call it the engineering family. This engineering family are in 4 categories. The first one is engineers, and followed by engineering technologists, and engineering technicians, after which is craftsmen. You see, all these one are registered, all this family, in each of this family, they have specific function or functions that are performed. This function is not, there is no clash of interest in the functions. You perform your function, I perform my functions. And you're able to, they were registered by the body that regulates engineering and engineers in the country. Now, you were able to become an engineer after acquiring knowledge at tertiary education or tertiary institutions, and after that, you will be subjected to tutelage under a registered engineer, of which you will now subjected to the test, professional test, both written and oral. So when you skip through of that, then either you go through NSC or through current, or majorly they go through NSC, the exams in 2 stages. When you pass these exams, you will be given certificate. You now tender the certificate to the current, which is the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, formerly known as a Council for Regulation of Engineers in Nigeria. This body regulates engineering activities. It's the one that we register you to become a chartered engineer. They give you seal, you're able to put engineer NGR in front of your name, then you are certified to be an engineer. And in case if there is anything, they too discipline engineers too, and engineering company. Because when there is a professional misconduct, as a registered engineer, go for bad thing, you'll be subjected to the look until they investigate and now recommend the necessary punishment if the person is actually guilty of that. So why I'm saying this is that, of course, most of the time when you meet people, because we have a lot of building, for instance, if I take building for example now, building stakeholders. But our people are fond of when you meet anybody that you meet on site, engineer. When anything happens, in case of building collapse, our engineer, they come again. So not everybody that is an engineer when you meet them on the so although we leave that for another day, we leave that for another day. So now come back to an engineer. So an engineer, just like we said that engineering itself is application of scientific and mathematical principle to solve problems through the use of natural resources. Now, an engineer is somebody that also has gotten knowledge, acquire knowledge, and apply scientific and mathematical principle to analyze, to design, to invent, to code, to build, to create, solve all sorts of problems, and make the world a better place. So, one of the most important tools of his job or as an engineer is creativity. Creativity, that word creativity is very, as an engineer, you have to be creative. So, an engineer is also seen as a problem solver. So, when you're an engineer, when you get a place, you look at whatever is happening there, try to look at it. This thing, can't it be done better than this? You want to improve on it so that you make it life easier for the people that are handling that particular machine or system. And also people that are also benefiting from such will also be benefited in such a way that it will not impact negatively to the surroundings. So engineering rules is not engineering rules are not layman affairs at all. So they are responsible. Engineers are responsible for effective infrastructures and economic development of a nation. So you can imagine if there is no engineer in a sense, so how do we handle development? So they are the heartbeat of the nation, and they are the engine room of the development in any nation at all. So a chartered engineers develop solutions to a complex engineering problems using new or existing technologies and through innovation, creativity, and technical analysis. Just like I said the other time, there are lots of technical analysis which we base on engineers is being guided by the code of practice. This has to do with a specific field. There are different types of field in engineering. So you stick with that code of practice. You want to protect, you must do the right thing, because whatever you do as a chartered engineer, when you do your design, do your everything, you seal it, you put the seal and the stamp. So that shows that whatever I put in here, I'm standing by it. So as a result of that, you have to protect that name, protect that the certificate and everything that you have put in, because there is a popular saying that say when the medical doctor make mistake, they bury their mistake, but when the engineer make mistake, that mistake bury the engineer. You know why they say that? You can imagine if God forbid, if a building collapses, it depends on the number of people that were on that building at that particular time. It could be, you can't. So, but if it were in a doctor, it is likely to be just a patient at that particular time. That's why we say whatever you are doing, you have to, although we are born to make mistake, but be strict, dot your I and cut your T's, so that even eventually they subject it to the investigation. They look at what you have done, they look at what you construct, and this one, if they see that you have done the right thing, anything could happen, but they say at least this one has so you could be exonerated. So in engineering, just like I said, we have several fields of engineering. There's some are major one that has even given back to some under them. So we have agricultural engineering, we have civil engineering, we have mechanical engineering, petroleum engineering, electrical engineering that we do with electronics, electrical, rural electrification, industrial engineering is also there, networking engineering is also there, and several like that. We have many, there are many. We can continue to just mentioning those fields of engineering, and their roles are specific to that particular field. I'm a civil engineer. Even if I have a deal of electrical engineering or a mechanical engineer, because we used to work together, I am not an authority on that. When you go to a point, as an engineer, you must have ideas of all those fields as it's related to your own field. But when you go to a point where you have to make a decision, C or C, you need to contact an expert on that particular field. Don't say because I can, as a civil engineer, I can do the job of electrical engineer, you now just go. In fact, if you see it will not be recognized because you are not an expert on that particular one. So, talking about all this engineering to our younger one in the secondary school, there is no way you are going to venture into engineering profession or going to higher institution to study any of those fields in engineering without your mathematics, physics, chemistry. At least you'll be told that a credit pass in those sciences subject. We all know that English is a compulsory in getting admission into studying any courses. Even if you are going to study Yoruba language, you must have English. So that step, that one brings us back to the step. So the STEM itself is an acronym of standing for the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. What it's really all about is that to motivate people, to tailor them towards that science courses. So an approach to learn and develop that integrates the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So you can pursue them in the higher institution. And I must say, the engineering profession is a profession that is very lucrative, a profession that you will be proud of when you do. And also, when somebody, you have to, when you observe that somebody is actually very, so when somebody is, all the time we observe our young ones, you study them, look at their qualities. So when you see that a young one is very inquisitive and also very painstaking in dealing with things and usually identify problem and have intention and the property of solving problem, it is better to encourage such to move towards engineering courses. And I want us to know as well that in engineering, just like I said the other time, the engineers are the heartbeat of the nation and they are the engine room of the development. So it's a profession that you won't regret when you go into it, because we need development on a daily basis. We need new ways, improved way of a system method of doing things. That is, as a professional engineer, when you see that they introduce new thing, for instance, when we were in school, the design, structural design, and those that we do, we're doing manually. There was no AutoCAD, there was no software. After we left the system, we are now practicing. They started rolling them in. As a professional, you don't just stay, say that you don't improve yourself. You have to be inquisitive. You have to always be mindful of your career progression, professional progression, so that you will not be obsolete. Because all this new way of doing things are supposed or expected to be efficient, effective, and improve on the existing one. Even you get to a point after several years practice, you start training the young ones. How do you mentor the young ones if you yourself, you are not improving on yourself? You have to attend workshop, you have to learn new things, and don't just leave yourself. So as some people will say that somebody is analog and not digital.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to Engineer Gbenga Oshunboye for that exposition on an engineer in the society. So I would like to ask one or two questions before we round off the program. Number one is, what are the challenges that engineers face when they are trying to address societal issues? Maybe a problem in the society they want to solve. Are there any challenges? Or
yes, engineers are not different from other professions. As in, we are all in Nigeria, for instance. Let's take Nigeria as case study now, just like you said in society. Mainly, we are all facing the same problem that everybody is facing. Now, let's now narrow it to the profession. So when you as, our people, I want to take my own field now as a civil and a structural engineer, for instance, our people, even the elite one, most of the time they find it difficult to employ experts. I don't know, maybe they don't want to employ experts. So, and the name of engineer is very big, and before you, a lot of quack, and I mean, although there are policies on ground that, for instance, if expatriate is coming to a country now, there are a number of registered engineers in the country now, and they must be involved. But you see, it's like we don't really appreciate our own, and just a lot of people claiming to be an engineer, whereas they are quack, and people will be giving job to a quack. And then when something now happened, they started shouting the name of engineering. And let me be honest with you as well, that another one is to even get the materials, the standard material. When I say materials now, of course we know what is happening. It's not peculiar to engineering materials alone. Other materials, what you used to then, nowadays you see that the standard has now dropped. Although there's a factor of safety when you are doing your design, you think of a mistake that you yourself will make. Mistake, but what about even if this material that I'm buying that's been although there are tests, engineers also do tests, just like a medical doctor will recommend the patient to go for tests. We too, we do tests on the soil to determine the bearing capacity of the soil. We do very different type of on materials, both physical and the one that you have to. So all those things, we are doing them, but most of the times you find it difficult to get the quality thing that you actually want. And another thing is the sincerity. You can't do it alone. People will work with you. For instance, let's take a block, for instance, now. Ordinarily, if you want to 225 block, that we could probably call 9 inches. Our bag should not more than 25, maximum of 28. If you do that, the quality will be there. If I could put it in tipper and tip it, they will be safe. They won't break. But nowadays, if you go see what people are doing, of course, most of them might be saying that, and it's what we know as well. We estimate, we do estimate. If you actually want to produce that number with that particular bag, the rate will be so high that a lot of people, and you know how people, it seems as if they are not really cherish the quality. What people cherish is quality. I don't blame them. It's because of what is happening in there. But we have to take safety. Safety is very, very important. So,
right. Maybe I should ask this last question because I know our time is up. You are the treasurer of Nigeria Society of Engineers in Abeokuta branch.
Special grace will go.
So what is the role of NSC? Just for the sake of education, you spoke about current.
Yes.
You did not speak
yes, that's okay. Maybe it escaped my mind. You see, Nigeria Society of Engineers is a social body. When I say social body, it's not an arm or agency of government, just like that of current. So is that in that NSC, we relate with ourselves. We elect people there, and also we conduct exams. We conduct professional exams. We pass through the 2 stages, oral and written. Is now CBT, computer-based test. When you do all this, you write a report on your project that you have done. They interview you just to show that you are capable, you can actually, because university education alone does not make an engineer. You have to, it's a technical thing. You have to be involved in several projects so that you can. Now, when you pass through this, you'll be given certificate. That certificate, you now tender it to current. You apply to current. You don't have to write exam in the current again, and you'll be giving your CDs that as a chartered engineer.
All right, I'm sure you've learned a lot of things from engineer Gbenga Oshungboyi. Rather, he has done a lot of work for us, making us understand what the role of current is, the role of NSC is, the role of engineer is in the society. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
And also thank you for being there. Our question for the week, very quickly, is all but one is used to change direction of a force. It's on the screen. All but one is used to change direction of a force. That's our question for the week. The program is sponsored by Prince Engineer MC Shillon, FNSC, and I want to say a big thank you to him for doing this and making us come to your viewing pleasure every Friday. Until next week, by the grace of God, we'll be back. And until then, I want to say bye-bye.